Hey guys, it's Emily. I am back with another speed build. It's been quite a while since I've made a video like this. I have been working on renovating an entire world with the eco lifestyle footprints and also focusing on making each venue in the world its own unique thing. So I was kind of sick of having like 12 bars in the whole world and never using them, and so I really wanted to renovate an entire world that has things like like a police station and a hospital, and they don't function like the ones in Get to Work, but I wanted to have them present and feeling like an actual complete world and a complete city. And lots that are unique and individual that I visit. And so I've really been taking a lot of time building that world and trying to get the eco footprints the way that I want them. And so I haven't really been doing many speed builds, though I have been building all those venues. And so I wanted to post something and have been not really very motivated, but then I thought if I recreate my childhood home, it definitely brought some motivation to me. And this house was actually designed by my mom and built by my mom and dad and my grandpa. And so, it's a pretty unique house. They had a lot of knowledge and wanted to incorporate a lot of sort of green lifestyle and eco-friendly things, and so they had like solar panels on the roof, and we have passive solar. The wall of windows there was south facing, and so you got a lot of passive solar heat from that. And so I thought it's kind of actually a perfect build with the eco lifestyle pack, and that was the kind of the other reason why I felt like I could finally do this build and give it do the justice that with the ideas that my parents had implemented. And over the years, there's been several versions of this house. There's my parents' versions, the way they had the versions that they had. Then my husband and I, now ex-husband, bought the house, and so there was our version of the way we had remodeled and painted and landscaped. And now currently my brother owns the house, and he did a large remodel that removed and moved a lot of different things, and so there have been very dramatic versions of the house, and this build is actually a combination of kind of the best of them, in my opinion. So it was really a nostalgic experience to build this house, and it brought back a lot of memories for me, most of them good. So it was really great to do, and kind of made me appreciate the good things over the years, and that was really a good thing for me in this time where we're social distancing, and there's been kind of more isolation than I normally have. This was a real positive experience for me, and I'm just really appreciative that we have this game and this avenue to kind of explore those things and express that creativity. The lot in real life is actually a full acre in the city. The lot adjoins my grandmother's house, or what was my grandmother's house, and so I'm focusing on just the house version, or our version of the house that was built on the old barn of my grandmother's house. So you can see that it's kind of split level and kind of built into the earth, and that used to be the old barn of the plot. And when my parents built the house, they knocked down the old barn but kept the foundation. And so that corner foundation that's rock is actually, like I said, the foundation of the old barn. And I couldn't include all the yard. Like, obviously an acre is quite a bit of land, especially for in the middle of the city. And so I had to kind of forgo some of the landscaping, and like the garden in back is actually quite a bit bigger but I just made a little cute version of it so that it fit in a smaller lot for The Sims. So there's a lot of changes like that obviously things can't be exactly the same. One thing that was different is when you're with the terrain tools, when you try to bring up the terrain close to the house, it leaves like a single gap, and so I ended up having to put bushes where there weren't actually bushes, and just kind of workarounds like that. And again, the house color has been several different colors over the years, and initially, as I remember, all the windows were this really dark brown, but then they got painted, and so I'm changing out the colors just as I'm trying to figure out which color version over the years I'm going to use. And again, it was really a good time for me to try out different things. Like, okay, I remember this version, but then there's this version, and what version of real life do I want represented in the game and to share with you all. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. And it's like I said, there's a lot of unique elements. My parents were very creative and very skilled, and I guess I'm really proud that I have this home that is unique and was entirely came from my parents and their efforts. And now I'm right now pretty much all I do is The Sims. Like, I live and breathe The Sims, and so being able to recreate it in the game is something really special. It has an open floor plan, and in real life the ceilings are real high. I think the highest point is 14 feet, and then the walls in general are 9 feet, I think, and so it's a very dramatic space. And of course, I can't really entirely recreate that. Like, some of the interior shots you'll see, I tried to include that, but because of the way we have to do the roofing and the walls, it didn't give the same sense in real life that it does. But again, just doing the best we can. Here, when I had the kitchen, I did do this black and white tile, and I loved it. In real life, it looked really great with that red wall that I had. But when I put it down in the game, I was like, it kind of really stands out like a sore thumb. So I ended up going with the tiling more like the way that my brother has the kitchen. Here, this fireplace, again, not quite the same as in real life. Like, that brick was actually like raised up a couple inches, but we can't do that, at least on the second floor in the Sims game. And so, just little differences like that. Upstairs here are 2 bedrooms. I had the bigger one growing up, and then my brother had the smaller one. And then there was a master downstairs. When I was raising my kids here, my eldest got the larger one. My youngest daughter got the smaller one upstairs. And then at some point, she also had the bedroom downstairs. At some point, the downstairs bedroom was also used for like a homeschooling, our schoolroom, basically. And then my brother, when he did his large remodel, he put in a 4th master bedroom downstairs, and so that's the version I actually have here for you in this house. Is there's 4 bedrooms. A lot of the basement was unfinished or partially finished, and so it was really challenging but fun to try and figure out how I would finish it out. My brother has since finished out the entire thing, but I don't remember. I've only been there a couple times since he's remodeled the whole thing, so I don't really remember like the exact colors and stuff. But also, I didn't do the layout. Like, he had the whole stairs moved and just kind of rearranged the rooms, and I don't remember exactly the floor plan, and so I couldn't do things the way that he has it done, just because 1, I didn't move the stairs and all that, but 2, I don't remember everything. And so, I did the best I can. And again, I just had fun, and that's, what it's really about. Like, I like building because it's fun and it's entertaining, and you know, that's the whole reason I do it, is because it's a positive thing in my life. And when it becomes a chore, or I feel like I have to push out content or something to that effect, then I kind of hold off, because I don't want it to become that's what it's about. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, make money or, you know, get as many followers as I can. You know, I do it because it's fun for me and it's a positive thing in my life. And as soon as it changes the feeling of that, then I kind of have to pull back and, you know, check myself and make sure it's remaining a positive thing. And so the colors largely that I chose for this build are the colors I had when I lived there. I like a lot of bright colors. I'm not afraid of, you know, using bright reds, and it just is, I just love the look of it. And so I chose to use the colors that I had mostly when I decorated it. Here you'll see, this is something really unique. I've never seen it in another house. I'm sure it does exist, but it was a built-in planter. Like I said, that south face exposure that we had brought in a lot of light, and so plants did really well in this house. You could not fail as a gardener in this house. It's just, the sun was just amazing, and plants did really well. And so my mom had designed this planter that was built in to this little area here, and I really loved that. I had plants growing in it all the time, different various plants, and it's just a really kind of unique touch to this house. Likewise with that fireplace area, it was kind of a you know, like a built-in fireplace area where my dad would haul in wood, you know, through the deck. You know, really good memories, and that's kind of a unique area too. I had a baby grand, a brown baby grand piano. I play piano, and that took up a lot of that area over there. But I found in this house, with those huge high ceilings and the open floor plan, that all furniture looked really rinky-dink, like it was too tiny. And so when I put the furniture down in this Sims version, I kind of had the same sense. I was like, this is not the same feeling that I got because we ended up buying oversized furniture that fit much better. We did at one point have a green couch that looked very much like that, and it was too small. So that's what I ended up using. I felt like it still felt like home, and it still looked like the living room that I had. But in the end, like for most of the time that I lived there, we had this big yellow oversized couch that fit the space so well. It would like took up from window to window there in the corner, and it just it was like this huge giant's couch, like built for a giant, and you could like spread fully out. It was basically like a bed, like the size of a bed. And in the end, you know, I did get things to look like when I lived there. I had planters along the edge, like you see those vertical planters. I didn't have that version, but I had vertical planters there. So I felt like, you know, I'm using the equivalent of what's in the game to be able to represent the things that actually were in this house. And I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. It's really weird kind of playing through and like seeing the as the camera's moving, like it's my house, and it brings back all those feelings, and it's kind of strange actually. The amount of emotional attachment I have to this build, like it's not something I normally have when I do a build, just because I'm building something from my imagination or from a floor plan or something like that. But this house is completely different with all those emotional memories. The other thing is I couldn't build this house without the windows being able to, you know, alt placed, because a lot of the windows are in a kind of an alternative position. So, you know, with those kind of additions to the game, and with the eco lifestyle things, I was able to really bring this build to life in a way that is true to the house in real life. So I used this eco lifestyle toddler bed because it's so stinking cute. My daughter, when she had a room, the room like this, she actually had a race car bed at one point. She was really into Wizard of Oz, and so that's why we used the pattern that we did on the wall. I had actually painted it in these big, large checks in black and white, or blue and white. And so that was her version of that bedroom. I initially had brought in some Wizard of Oz paintings from the gallery, but I ended up switching them out because when I uploaded the lot to the gallery, it was showing that it had custom content. So I ended up replacing that just to make sure it wasn't making it show up as custom content. So that's no longer there. You'll see in the tour at the end that I use, again, in-game stuff. This room here, my dad always wanted a sauna, but we never had one. Nobody ever finished it and put it in. So in this build, I decided, kind of as an honor to him, I'm going to include the sauna downstairs. And again, I can't remember how we finished things out. So you'll see me trying a lot of different things here, trying to figure out the colors. I just don't remember what version my brother has. I think it was green, or maybe it had a green floor. But I wanted something that looked cohesive, and so I ended up going with this, just the monochrome grays, just the kind of simple palette. And that way, if you're playing with this build, you can furnish it out, change it out in any colors that you want. But so there is 2 bedroom, 4 bathroom, or 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, excuse me. And then we have a handful of different other spaces, like a TV room and such. This room here was kind of like the entryway, and my mom had actually found some reclaimed wood with that coloration, very much so. So I was really pleased when I saw that wall covering in Eco Lifestyle, because it looks literally just like the wainscoting that my mom had created. In this version, it goes all the way up. But I'm okay with that. Like it still gives me the vibe of the way my mom had found that wainscoting. This was, again, now it is my brother's roommate's bedroom. It was my youngest daughter, sorry. It was the schoolroom at some point. So, it was really fun just thinking over the years of what the room has been and how it has looked. And, it was just a really fun time doing that. And this room here, again, I'm outfitting it as the master bedroom, the way my brother has it remodeled. My whole life growing up, it was the tool room. Like, my dad did his projects in here. It's where we had all the Christmas decorations stored. It was largely unfinished, just, kind of with tools and lumber and things like that. But in the Sims game, we don't really need that much space for kind of a tool room or a workshop, and so I decided it would be better utilized as a 4th bedroom, and I really think it turned out lovely. I ended up putting a tool room, or like a the workshop table, over next to the laundry room, because that also was, growing up, we had a big chest freezer that took up the whole area next to the stairs. And so you'll see I put a wine cooler over there and some storage shelves. But the other side, in real life, we had, we hung our coats there, and there was, again, some storage, and we kept some shoes down there. And that was kind of that area, but we don't really need that in The Sims. And so I ended up relocating the tool area right here, you'll see, to over there, just because I felt like it went well there. In real life, we also had those tree silhouettes. I did that because it is a reflection of real life. It was the tree silhouettes with a sunset behind it. It was, I don't know, my mom put it in back in the 80s. So, but I wanted to give that nod to the way that it really was, and I'm pleased that we have that tree silhouette. And in some instances, I really like that wall covering. but in this instance I utilized it specifically because it was a version of real life. Here I had just placed, I wanted some tools, and rather than dig through the debug menu, I just placed a room from the gallery and then pulled the tools I wanted. So you see, that's how I did that. Sometimes it's just easier to do that if you know it's on the gallery. Just pull it off there, place the room down, and then you can use what you want and delete the rest. And in this instance, I thought it was definitely a lot easier. The laundry room laid out just exactly the way it was in my childhood and in real life. I think we had a top loading washing machine, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. We have the front loading in game, and the other side we had our hot water heater and some storage, and then I think we had a secondary hot water heater that was somehow tied to the solar panels. And so I don't know if I show that when I'm decorating here, but you'll see it in the tour at the end. That's where that kind of stuff went in the house. And so I just placed kind of, you know, I can't remember what the contraption is called, but something that looked kind of like a hot water heater over there. It's not functional, but you know, it fit the bill. And then of course the storage shelves there that are from Eco Lifestyle. One version of this room here was an office that I had. I did some tattooing out of there. I did some computer work out of there. And so I actually found a picture of an office on Pinterest that I really liked. We never had desks that looked this symmetrical or fit the space as well, but I wanted to outfit it in a way that was attractive. And so even though it's true to the space as being an office area, it never really looked this lovely. I wish it looked this lovely. And we had the formal office space, but again, that's the front door right there, or what we use as the front door. And so it was kind of limited as to what you could have down there. A lot of times it was, again, a kind of a mud room, a very large mud room, but for many years, I think my growing up, it was a mud room, and then we had our dog kennels for when they needed to be kenneled in that area, but we don't have dog kennels, so that wasn't really an option to show you guys here. And again, I like having that office area for simming purposes, because they're always utilizing the computer, and having its own area where they can go and do that is never a bad thing in my opinion. The stairs too, you'll see that I utilized I think one of the tables, marbled marble maybe it's called, if I'm remembering correctly, because in real life the stairs went down on both sides, but of course the way the stairs are in game, I can only go the one direction, and so, you know, I kind of did the best I can to make it look, again, like I've talked about before, that we kind of just got to make it work in certain circumstances when you're trying to recreate something from real life. Down here was never finished until my brother built the house. He has put in like a little entertainment area, and when I lived there, I had bought a gym machine. I was really into going to the gym at the time. This is years and years ago when I could do stuff like that. But for most of my life, it was the stove room. We heated the house with wood heat, and so the big stove was downstairs, and it, you know, with the open floor plan, it radiated to the whole thing. We had it going 24 hours a day. It was a lot of work, but, you know, as my dad said, build character. So I'm glad now, in my brother's old age of 40, he has been able to put a furnace in and got rid of the wood stove and all of the work that it entails. And life is a little simpler for him now. This here again, the garden is a lot smaller than when I had the garden back there. But I had actually, these were raised gardens, so they're actually up a little in real life, but it was too hard to implement that in the game. I did try a version of that, and it didn't look quite right with the foundations and everything, so I just left it flat on the ground, and probably easier for Sims to access anyway, without getting crabby or routing issues. And The pine tree back here was important for me to include because my dad planted that when he was a teenager. I think it's a Scotch pine or maybe a white pine. I can't remember which. He told me years ago, and my memory's not so great. But so that's why there's the one lone pine tree in the backyard there. And underneath it, since there was a lot of shade, I had put a bunch of hostas because hostas are a shade plant. And then the kidney bean here, I had a lot of heat-loving, dry-loving plants. The white one there is, I'm imagining it's a plant called Artemisia that I had planted quite a bit. I love it. It's really soft, and I love walking through the garden and just touching it because it's soft, kind of like lamb's ears are soft. And then some irises that my mom had given me, and some bushes. I actually ended up planting a Honeycrisp tree, apple tree on the corner there, and you'll see I put an apple tree there just because, again, I'm trying to make this true to life. Honeycrisp are my favorite, and just a year or two before I moved out, I had planted the Honeycrisp apple, and that is literally the only thing my brother left. He is not a gardener, and so he basically took the whole thing out, and it's just grass, and he could just mow it, and it's easy to mow. And of course the pine tree's there, but he left the apple tree. I'm happy he did that, because he will eat the apples of Honeycrisp, of course. But everything else has been taken out now, and is grass. But when I lived there, I had these extensive gardens. Again, back when I was feeling well enough and up to gardening. I can't do much gardening now, or I'm not up to it now. But I used to love it, and I had large gardens and really enjoyed it. It was a great time, great memories of my life. A little bit sad, looking on the gardens and how lovely, how I had so much land. My house now doesn't have the land to do it. And then again, not having the energy to do it. But my husband now, he does potted plants on the deck, just like you're seeing here. And so that's, at least we have some gardening in our lives. Here we put up a little shed at some point in real life, and so I wanted to include that as a little area for the flower table, flower making table. And then you'll see I actually put like a container, like a metal container. We had converted we had a Volkswagen Jetta that was a diesel engine that we converted to run on used vegetable oil. And so we had our containers of vegetable oil out in the shed to filter before we put it in the car. And, I had forgotten about that. And as I was building the shed and trying to furnish it, it brought back that memory. And I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. And so that was, that's the type of thing that as I was building through this and thinking of those things, I remembered. And, it was just so special doing this build for me. Like this is really a special build for me, and brought back so many memories. And like I said, largely a good thing. It's some of them, like remembering the gardens that I had, and it kind of makes me a little sad, but at the same time it was such a wonderful time. I'm definitely trying to focus on the positive aspect of all of this. My mom had planted lilacs that she transplanted from her house all around the lot. And so I was trying to find these bushes here, trying to figure out what's going to be a good lilac substitute. And I ended up kind of mixing a couple of bushes that, brought back that purple color that, I guess it's kind of pink here, but that did the job. And so, I worked with what I got. I'm going to thank you all for watching this video. It was definitely a really special build, and I will see you all next time. Thanks so much.